Well, you gonna put in your clip. You gotta bring it along now. Hey, Alex, that's my man. Brian, sure. Welcome, thanks for coming.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's a good friend of mine.
We had a quick
right.
Yes,
Sure.
and I just met you.
Right. Right. And this is Alex, my good friend.
How are you, Alex?
Well, I read your bio.
Right.
I'm going to go look at the work on. I'm into murals and architectural work.
Okay.
I'll go look at the murals and see how big it is.
Alex. How you been? All right, man. Everything's all right.
That I should know about?
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, keep me posted.
Not yet.
Keep me posted, bud.
Sooner or later.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
What do you think about the work?
Yeah, well, I
you'll tell me where the holes are, yeah?
Okay.
Darian sat alone in this white stone-walled room of the house. He had built these walls from thick, clumpy clay mounded and sealed with cement around iron cubes carefully pieced. The roof beneath him, so long standing, had been built and constructed in a similar fashion years before, when his grandfather had built up from the roof beneath his floor that his father had moved to the mountainside. It seemed only appropriate that the building should continue, the house then empty. He began with iron rods and a corner, something from which to hang his hammock, where he would sleep each night after the day's work and the sun setting. His neighbors and friends would gather quietly in wonder to watch as his work took form. He left this concrete ceiling, soon to be ground, only to collect supplies for the walls and figs for his breakfast. That time now felt like an old drifted dream. These walls long painted white, wood planks now covered the once cement roof where he sat, still in his spot in the corner by the window, looking out over the overgrown gardening valley. He wondered to himself where time would find him, as this familiar space would soon be as far from his memory as the contents of the cardboard box set in front of him. This box he had filled with tokens, pieces of his life he knew not what to do with, when he first discovered the past of this old house and decided to leave his childhood home and begin to build. And the time had come for him to leave again. He would not know if he would return or not, and he was not one to leave things unconsidered. It was a cool morning in this familiar land. He could hear the birds communing in the ginkgo tree just outside the window. Carefully he cut the thick plastic tape at the box's seams, and piece by piece he emptied the box. Out came music and books, his first love letter received from that darling brunette, photos of his younger brother, a piece of wood from the sea by his old house, feathers, small stones, a snail's shell that his friend Daniel had given him when they were both 11 and scavengers, a napkin full of dried tears, sleepiness, cigarette smoke, little things to sink in pockets, seeds, fire, an old blue glass marble, sadness, love and pain from another time. All of these things, long forgotten, he had saved as reminders to remember. But remembering he had forgotten only filled him with sadness this day. One by one, he picked up all these pieces of his history and put them back in the box. Pieces of his past and his future, no longer needed in their tangible sense, as they were each already a part of who he had become, of who he was becoming. He stood up tall and looked out over the garden growing apples, tomatoes, and basil. He picked up the box, no longer sealed shut, put on his wide-brimmed brown rain hat, and closed the simple wooden door behind him. He walked slowly, listening to the day change as he went. Long, even strides, 2 miles to the water's edge. The wind was beginning to pick up. The rain would soon come. He threw the box to the sea, to the wind, to the earth. This was the only way that everything would have a chance in this windy flight to return to where each had first come from. The blue feather, the white stone, the colored papers, the moments of another time. The new section. The world was spinning darkness, closing in from the ground up. Blue concrete block holding her up, Sophia could do nothing but wait. There was a fiesta loud with salsa and dancing happening inside the cafe behind her. Maybe someone would step out soon. She looked over at the light coming from a tienda across the cobbled street. Surely they would have an antidote to the poison seeping into every small vein in her body. But that small store so close was too far for her faltering balance, so she waited. Jerry was a familiar face in this small community of transients. She lived next door to the cafe, too closely situated that any estranged, lonely soul felt comfortable knocking on that sacred door. It suited her regardless. This was what filled her with life, filled her with purpose, or maybe just distraction. She had a small tin bowl full of seeds, one with water, one with a leftover bread-corn mass mix. And every day some stray cat or dog or neighboring bird would stop and take shelter below her front door overhang, offering some warmth in exchange for her nourishment. It was the same with wandering strangers, some new, some old, drunk and tired. an old lady in a young body. It was part of her burden, a part of her blessing. She came down the hill, arms overflowing with groceries and books. She had seen Sophia's face since before she arrived, but always in passing. And now here she was, fixed eyes glazed and distant body uncomfortably still. Jerry stopped in front of this familiar stranger's face. Sophia's eyes looked deep into her own. "You are not well?" she asked. "I live next door. Why don't you come lie down inside?" Sophia nodded, half smiled, and followed Jerry into her dark alcove of sand walls and blue waves on the horizon. She lay down on the thin mattress on the floor. Water was put to boil. Her face growing pale, hot and cold, hot and cold. She did not speak more than a word or unintelligible muttering at a time. She pulled the blanket up to her chin, now sweating, vision blurred. Jerry talked to her, told her about her day, assuring as she went that the tea brewing would cure this fading soul of her illness. Some time passed before the knocking began. First came a shuffling bald man. Words exchanged, he stayed but a moment before departing to bring back a home remedy sure to dilute the potency now saturating her senses. Next came in a young quick talker. He came in with charisma and an agenda. He wanted to eat. Where was everyone? They had planned to meet 10 minutes ago. He looked down at Sophia's sweating brow, eyes closed. "You found a real one this time, huh, Jerry?" Jerry did not look up from her steaming brew. "Well, hello there," he said, squatting beside her. "Not feeling so well, it seems. What happened?" She muttered something back that he could not discern. "Well, shit, has she seen a doctor?" he asked Jerry, accusingly, standing up. "No one stop it, would you please? I found her stuck on the bench in front of the cafe. I'm making her some tea. She'll be fine. No doctor needed. It isn't too serious." Sophia did not hear the knock preceding a new stranger's entrance, nor could she see his face so far from the ground where she was lying. He wore a simple, dark, wide-brimmed hat she found charming in her silence. They were all talking by now. She could hear the intonations of their voices, but not their words. This tall stranger came and sat down at her feet. He began asking her questions, so many questions about where she had been, what she had eaten, and what she was feeling, his voice soothing in its rhythm. He took off her shoes, not waiting for a response. The room was spinning except for this hand on her foot. He grounded her with his touch. This went on for 40 minutes or so, voices and stories among good friends, and the sanded chimney now burning brightly, his grounding touch. Sophia was almost asleep by now. She felt him cover her foot with the weight of the wool blanket as the rest collected their things. Jerry promised to be back. "Please just stay. You can sleep the night, and tomorrow you'll feel better and strong enough to go. I'll be back in an hour. You can throw up in my bathroom need be. Sleep well." Sophia nodded her resting head, tried to smile in gratitude. Feet softly shuffled, the metal door sweeping shut behind them. The fire from the fireplace was beginning to dim, and the air got very still for just a moment. No more than 3 minutes could have passed before she was hurled over the toilet bowl, gasping, puking, hand over sweaty brow, more coming out than could have possibly gone in the last day and a half. But that was it. It just needed to come out. And there she sat, bewildered, empty, and quite fine. Maybe finer than she had felt in days, such pressure building. What had happened, and who was that tall stranger? Slowly she made her way back to the thin mattress on the floor, pulling the heavy wool blanket over her shoulders. She would wait just a bit before getting up to clean and make her way up the hill to her own bed. Vision cleared, though now tired, she began to take in her surroundings. Unknown and never before felt kindness hovered in this room. She knew it was time to go. She folded the blanket at the foot of the mattress, found her slip-on wool clogs. Standing, she felt something round and hard under her arch. She slipped her shoe off and found a small glass ball, deep indigo and warm. Had it fallen inside? Perhaps it was a gift. She fingered its comfortable hardness and slipped it in her pocket. The night air brisk and dark, she followed the rising clouds up the hill. Part 3. Lucienne had lost count of the passing days, entirely preoccupied, scissors in hand, places and traces two-dimensional all over. She was, however, finally getting somewhere in her search and reconstruction. The colors were starting to come together, and she at last had found the cobbled stones to lay for the road which would serve as the base from which to build up. Mountains rising up with the sun reflecting off the windows in the morning. Yes, she had found the windows as well. lining the winding road as it went. The houses and buildings had twists and basements with lots of stairs. This was becoming apparent as the edges and corners continued to jut out from the smooth surface she was trying to lay flat. The air was a bit more complex. It is not something easy to catch in color caught still on a page, from such a distant place and time. Not something she really wanted to capture anyway. Longing to feel the wind of a place confuses this desire for light and shadow, and lightness of the thick cloud climbing the darkness up the mountain. There was a knock at the door, and then another. "Come in," Lucienne called, looking up to see grandmother's shrunken, wrinkled finger pushing her glasses up her nose. Dark plastic, heavy frames around her large, round, bright eyes. They were brilliant dark emerald today. They changed frequently, though Lucienne could not decipher any rhyme or reason for it. One of so many mysteries surrounding this little aged woman. Her hair was still deep black, the lines on her face evidence of so much time, and yet she seemed timeless. Looking into her eyes was like falling into a rabbit's magic mystery hole of secrets if you connected long enough. She was the one who had taught her young to blow kisses as far as the wind could blow with the assurance of a safe arrival. She had shown her the secret to making sangria under the full moon. A great lady, and Lucienne felt safe in her love. But grandmother was becoming more curious and incessant than ever these days, and Lucienne, really too preoccupied in her own world cut-out search, had not been giving her grandmother the attention she was coaxing. A marble. Grandmother had been looking for this old, probably long-rolled in some dusty corner of some rodent's abode marble. Granted, she had said it had been a gift, but such a gift from so long ago? "You must help me, Lucienne, because I know you can find it. I need you to come downstairs to the cellar with me. There are only windows of time in which certain things happen, moments when something lost can reappear, when something too greedily craved has a chance to escape, moments when lives change forever." Lucienne looked down at her windows, green sprouts and colors covering the blue of the rug beneath her. Grandmother was irresistible, not because she was especially enticing to her at this moment, entirely preoccupied, but because of that look in her eye. Saying no to grandmother and her time-again meticulousness was like sailing a kite thunderously dancing in a swift wind and then having that kite descend frightfully from a new, sudden, still air. Saying no to grandmother created such a change of wind. And it was always this way. Lucienne wondered if grandmother was suffering a delusion of so many years and memories to contend with, or if there really was such a treasure and real need to find it. 3 days before, she told grandmother to try to remember when she had last had it in her hand and backtrack. She had mumbled and chanted under her breath something about a shoe, but Lucienne had already inspected the hall closet's floor where all shoes are kept, and nothing that rolled had been found. "Let me make piles, Grandma. Describe this thing for me once more." Grandmother had a way of saying one thing and meaning something entirely distinct, and even time after, not understanding how the other persons involved didn't understand the precision they had just witnessed that always seemed so obvious and clear to her. A mix between deep indigo and deep jade when the sun hits it a certain way. That's what I'm looking for. Piles made, Lucienne stretched her arms above her head and took grandmother's hand. She was so happy they had moved back to this old house. 3 levels, 3 generations of builders and histories. The 3rd floor, where she found her room, had been built by her grandfather for her grandmother before they ever met. That was the story she told anyhow. Darian didn't sound like an old man's name anyhow. Somehow it seemed appropriate that he died so young. He died the year Lucienne was born. Hallways intricate with elevated detail caught by yellow lighting. The staircase was at the end of the hall, hard, deep, moist wood. They had stapled a rug down the center the year before, red, blue, and purple patches with thin strings of shimmer gold. Lucienne held her hand as grandmother held the railing with the other and headed down. She counted steps in her mind as they went. 1, 2, 3. Grandmother stopped at step 4, squeezing Lucienne's forearm before releasing. Her release was a touch of motion, slow standing, an open window in time, the sun's rays illuminating on her forehead. She looked down, holding grandmother's arm tightly, though it was now beneath her and not at her side. The stairs looked long and tall from where she was standing. She was still in her grip, and she had not slipped down the flight of them, and yet she heard nothing. She was only filled with the height and majesty of this red, blue, and purple flowing in and out of old photographs, sea of old moments, and this new light. That's my story.
Beautiful. Magnificent. I like the way you write.
Does it make
I
sense?
can't. It makes a lot of sense. It says a lot about the fantasy world that you're writing from. And it takes place in all these illusions, metaphors.
Are there serious holes, like the 3 sections not connecting? Where you feel like, something needs rework?
I think there should be some sort of crossover transition whereby they don't have to really be connected. The only part that's missing is for you to carry it over into the next part. So the way you're reading it, most of the things that you go off into illusions with, sometimes you go too deep and you have trouble going back over there as you're reading it. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm not sure what I do.
You become confused about your own reading, your own writing. What?
Well, I have all these marks, see, where I sort of started to change things and that.
That's what I mean. That's the only problem that I could detect. Other than that, it's, you know, it's like music.
You like my first story?
Yeah. I'm glad you did that. Really glad you did that. A good way of re-exposing something. You should do more of that.
Well, I have to write another story really soon.
You just have to do more. When you go do mine?
Well, maybe I can incorporate yours in the next one, if I can feel inspired enough.
What do you mean feel inspired enough?
I mean, I have to be inspired enough. You know, plot, character.
Whatever the illusion
I
is.
wanted to write down what it was, that word.
Word.
And then the title of your thing.
What
The
word?
plastic camera. What was that called? The thing you're going to show.
A visual search for truth and materialism?
It wasn't imperialism. That was what it was.
No. A visual search for truth and materialism.
You changed it then.
No, I didn't.
It was totally imperialism.
No.
Okay.
You keep trying to put it there. You insist on putting it there.
Okay, what was it? A visual?
A visual search for truth and materialism. And it's basically about my belief in the arts. I had trouble getting into the arts. I still have trouble. Because it's like being phony. You have to be phony. It has nothing to do with reality art.
You have to be phony for what? For what?
It's not about any kind of, not about truth.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's not about truth. It's a lie.
Art?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Is it about truth?
It's a ridiculous lie. And as long as it stays ridiculous, it's all right. The minute it becomes too real and step outside of being ridiculous, and then it becomes, what can I say? Intolerable. Can't be tolerated. See, the way you're reading, what you're reading, the way you've written it, it's a lie.
Sure.
That's what I mean.
Okay. Oh, all right. That's understandable.
Okay. See, it's all about language, essentially. And language, somehow or another, comes very close to the truth.
Sure, it's that connection.
Right. But in language, you could lie without somebody knowing it. In art, it's always considered a lie, and now dealt with as a truth. So this piece here essentially kind of like goes into that area about what people believe as being true and how they deal with it. There's this guy with this plastic bottles all hooked up together taking people's pictures.
How did he do the sound, or did you do the sound? I just want to know.
No, it's it's that,
Part of the thing.
the kind of water you drink, you know, if you squeeze it, it makes that noise.
That's what the noise is.
He used
from?
those kind of bottles.
That's hilarious. I was like, genius. How did he get that noise to come out of that? Wow.
Yes. And then, you know, he's so happy to be doing this.
He really is.
He done psyched himself so far deep into this that people don't have no choice. They got to believe because he believes. And then how do you get around all of that? And then that came out of the thing with David, essentially, with him kicking the bucket down the street. He comes into the gallery and said, I want you to videotape something. He said, I want to kick the bucket down the street. You know, bucket? He showed me the bucket. What do I know? Because I was essentially getting ready to go out and videotape Rollo.
What's wrong?
That's the other piece I did with the plastic camera.
Oh.
Before David showed up.
Oh, okay.
I had the camera set up to do Rollo because I figured he'd be on the street that night. So I was getting everything set up just in case he showed up. And at the point of me setting the camera up, David walks in with this bucket and this woman. I'm looking at this bucket and him and like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, sure, I can do that. That's easy. Okay, start kicking the bucket. So we start kicking the bucket up the street, and I just put the camera on and start videotaping, kicking the bucket up the street, right? Cross the street, you know, people walking by like, you know, this guy does this every day. Nothing unusual. Not the black man done lost it. Kicking up by the white wall. I want to get him kicking by the white wall, stay off from him, and walk across the street there and try not to get hit by a car. And they came back, we're sitting outside there, and Rollo walks by.
That all happened the same night?
Mm-hmm. Rollo walks by, and I said, that's what I was supposed to be doing. I have to get him on the same tape. Then the following night, I heard him down the street, like, I hear voices. I can detect who people are, you know. Like at the beginning of the video. I could hear him, you know, he just talks, you know, loud, you know. Everybody, so I heard him down the street. So I grabbed the camera and I seen him going down the street doing something. Then I remembered I didn't have enough batteries, so I went back and got the batteries, put another battery in there, and then went down the street there. Where did he go? Where did he go? And bang, he's across the street there. So I see him doing something. So I just mashed the button before I even get into things. I don't know what's going to happen. And there he is, doing something. Cars are going. I said, damn, hurry up, cars, hurry up, hurry up. I got to get across the street. I kind of zoom in on him, then all the cars stop me. I kind of like, okay, the car stopped. Let me get across the street. I can't get off the camera. Like, I'm nervous now. Get over there, give him $20. And he's kind of like, he's in shock.
after that, if I remember well.
This is real. They keep on going, keep on going. So he has to overcome his shock now. Can't see me on camera. He knows I'm the photographer since he walked by that following night, right? And so he goes into his act. I didn't know what was getting ready to happen. I was just curious about him making this piece of thing, you know, how he putting it all together. I got him doing it. Then he broke out and went down the street, like, whoa, zoom out, wide shot, what's going on here? And things began to happen after that. Then after that, David's piece took off after 3 years, showing it to everybody. And then once he got a little settled with the piece, with the DVD, and with that, the whole trip with that stuff. Boy, got a trip.
I remember that. I have those slides.
Wow. And prior to that, when we were showing up to the Whitney, that kind of like went into a weird state of depression.
He did or you did?
I did. Because I felt they stole it from me. This is my video, and I need to get credit for this also. But when they wrote about it in the paper, they only mentioned his name, David Hammond's video. It pissed me off. Right? And then I wasn't invited to the opening. They was just trying to, you know, cut me off from the video.
He was?
No, Whitney. The Whitney, right. Mm-hmm. But all that got settled. We had a little big blowout. You should have been there. Had a big fight. Public fight.
Wow, I wish I had been there. How did it end?
Neither one of us got the best of each other, but you know, I got my say. Cleared the air. For those who was there, they couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. They just got going at David. David is like our God, our hero. He's it. Who's this guy who's going at him this way? Because they all came up there to see David, and then, you know, see the a little videotaping of this piece here.
That you did?
Yeah, of him.
Right.
But got edited wrong. He got weirded out, got public about it. I said, okay, you want to go there, fine. Let's go someplace else besides here. Then we come back here eventually. Let's talk about the show at the Whitney. So I kind of like this. And the woman who actually curated the show, she was sitting next to him. And I just laid into her about, you know, what they did, why they did it, you know, how wrong it was. And it just, you know, I got it off my chest. Okay, that's out of the way. And then eventually things got cleared up with us, and then he wanted to go further with it, so I recommended to make a DVD. So I produced a DVD.
Of which came all those fabulous prints. Those are pretty awesome.
So that's history now. So he must have spent pretty close to $75,000 on that piece. 75,000. Selling them for upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 a pop.
And they sold.
I don't know how many sold. That's his business.
Who?
Institutions.
Yeah.
Individuals. They're the ones who buy in. What time is it?